ELI5 What is the point of a 99-year lease? The point is to get a lease for as long as possible under the local law. If the law doesn't allow you to buy land or to lease it for longer than 99 years, then to get the longest ownership right you will lease it for 99 years. It's common for all land owned by the British monarchy, like all of the UK and more. Also common for businesses using the natural resources. So unlike in the US where all the oil you find on your land is yours, many counties actually own everything that's below ground, and you have to lease ownership rights in order to use it. Where I'm from, in Canada, if you have a property in a provincial or national park, it's almost always a 99-year lease. You effectively own the property, but legally the owner can take the land back if the lease is broken. I understand especially cottage ownership inside parks is done this way to give the park more say over how the property is used, and to evict the cottager if they start tearing up the forest, damaging the shoreline, planting invasive species, etc. It's just the old common law standard. Another weird carryover is the rule against perpetuities, which basically says that contracts can only exercise control for 21 years past the death of a currently living person. This was used by Disney earlier this year in the form of 21 years past the death of the last descendant of King Charles III currently living, the use of the royals being another common law tradition. In short, common law is weird. In what context are you hearing this? It might make sense in real estate. Leasing a vehicle for more than a couple years rarely makes sense because it would be cheaper to just buy it, but that's because you can just buy a vehicle. If you want to open a business or live in a very specific location but the owner won't sell, buying is not an option. So leasing effectively forever might be the best option the buyer has. One example is UK property. If you buy a home in a shared building, you can't buy it outright. Instead you buy a transferable lease. You have to pay ground rent and service charges on top of that, and can extend periodically. This is a lot cheaper than rent though. It allows ownership without the expense of a house. It's not a great system but it works okay-ish. I want you to use your land, you don't want to use it, but you also don't want to sell it. I also want you to use it forever but you don't want to sell it. So, we make an agreement that lasts almost a century, 99 years, that is practically longer than a lifetime, to pay you money to use it for that time. That's lease. I don't own it, but I get to use it as I want. If the government owns land, they will not sell it to you, but usually lease it to you. For example, the WTC on New York is on land owned by the government but leased for 99 years. The people investing in building the building get to have some security about being able to recoup their investment over 99 years. It's designed as a way to lease house and land, and then when someone dies it returns to the owner. My parents actually have a lease on the land and home they live on, was drawn up as $1 per year for 99 years. Really good friends with the ranch owner, so it was his way of giving my dad a retirement gift. Companies operate with the assumption that they'll run forever, so they'll lease property with the assumption that they'd eventually get it back after a century when it'd be much more valuable. From a business perspective it's much more profitable. For example, China has leased Hong Kong for 99 years. In Dubai, only nationals can own land, so if any company wants to have their own building there, they cannot own it. However, they can lease it for 99 years effectively. It's like owning it. Most companies never become 100 years old, so 99 years is way more than a company would need. A 99-year lease was, under historic common law, the longest possible term of a lease of real property. It is no longer the law in most common law jurisdictions today. Yet 99-year leases continue to be common as a matter of business practice and conventional wisdom. Usually it's a lease of land, you get to use the land for your house for your life or the life of the building, but it comes back to the owner. I think it's especially common in the UK. This is how ranked rich families stay really rich. Let people pay you for your land and use it, but you get it back. You're never losing assets. Land is leased and then developed at the expense of who leased, but after 99 years, property development is returned to owner family estate.